Hey, what's good, y'all? It's C. Will, and this is the Passive Income Network. On this podcast, we talk about investing in assets that produce passive income. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and leave a comment and say what's good. On this episode, we have a special podcast feature with Vance Lowe of Private Banking Strategies. Welcome to the show, Vance.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here. I've really been looking forward to it.
Oh, same here. This is going to be a great show. I know the audience will get a lot of good, valuable information. So let's begin with a little background of who you are and what put you into this path.
Well, I've been a money manager for a long time, 37 years.
Oh, nice.
And then I had a life-changing event, one of these things that just mess your whole life up. One of my clients brought me in a book about 19 years ago.
Okay.
And just screwed up my life. It was Nelson Nash's book, Becoming Your Own Banker. As a money manager and helping people trying to retire financially independent and being able to live longer than their money's going to last was the goal. And then to find out that in my career and everything we were trying to do was wrong. Completely wrong. So we have, I think, some exciting news to share with everybody that'll tailor exactly what you're focused on and everything else. So I'm really looking forward to this.
Oh, thank you. Let's get into it. Let's start with, can we start with 401ks?
Sure.
Okay. So I want to start with a 401k. A little side note. I was working for a company, and we're investing our money into this 401k. They gave us a matching up to 7%. I found out there was a vesting schedule on there, so it has to be after 5 years you can get the 7% match, and very frustrating. And a lot of my peers don't like the fact that you have to wait, and then they realize you receive a lot of penalties if you take out money early and things of that nature. What is your opinion on 401ks?
Well, let me start with telling you what the founder of 401ks said 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
401ks are dead. I wish I had never invented the monster. So here's the thing with that. This is what where we want to go. We want to break away. I'm all about breaking away from what's called the herd mentality.
Okay.
So you have to dig in. Who is the herd mentality? Why do we think the way we do about money, or the false notions that we have about money that are incorrect? Why do we think they're correct?
Yes.
And it all stems from banking. Banking, took over our country back in the early 1900s. People don't know we lost a war. I call it the War of 1900 when the Federal Reserve took over.
1913?
Yeah, they took, it was the Federal Reserve that created the IRS. It was the Federal Reserve that mandated Social Security. It was the Federal Reserve, which is the worst, took over our education system and totally extricated, completely eliminated what America grew up on and made us so powerful when it came to money. So in a 401k, we believe we want to put the money to work, and there's always choices in 401ks, right?
Yes, there's a few.
And everybody looks at 401ks and they look at the average returns. Now, if we follow, I'll think of his name here in a minute. Anyway, he advises us to make sure we always ask the correct questions, and we don't. There is a difference between average rate of return and yield. And if you ask the wrong questions, you're going to get wrong information and make wrong decisions. I have managed assets all my life. Let me give you a good example. Someone gives me $100,000 to invest for them.
Yes.
In year one, I double it. In year two, I lose 50%. In year three, I gain 25%. And in year four, I lose 12.5%. Now, those math whizzes out there, if they were able to keep up with me, know how much is in the account at the end of 4 years. And it's within $12,000 of $100,000. But guess what I get to publish is the average rate of return. 25% average rate of return. So if you ask me that question, wow, 25%, I'm going to invest in that.
Yeah.
Had you asked the right question, what's the yield on this account? Yield means money put in the account that cannot be reversed. 0. Now, how likely are you to invest in that?
We wouldn't do it.
When we look at stocks, bonds, mutual funds, things like that, and we are taught to go after the wrong information. So therefore, we're not going to get the right information. We've gotten away from good, solid, risk adverse investments. They've been out there and they still clip along right with the net returns of Wall Street, or even higher, especially when Wall Street, comes tumbling down. So that was the ship that we turned. So in your situation with all of your clients, one of the things that we need to tell people is, if you score big,
Yep.
if crypto finally comes back in and gets going,
We hope so.
what are you going to do with the windfall? Because you're already programmed to give it all away back to the banks. See, the banks always get the money back, don't they?
They do every time.
So let's tell our audience this puzzle, this question. Everybody has monthly expenses, just to live.
Yes.
Okay. Well, we've also been told never, ever, ever spend principal. And let's define principal, which is the money we earn after taxes that we bring in. We can never spend that. Well, everybody around us is spending that on expenses and everything else, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, if enough people do the wrong thing, does that make it right?
No, it does not.
It doesn't. So we show people how to get back 100% of their monthly expenses every single month. Now, it's not quite the way they're thinking. Wow, you can't do that, but you can, because there's major missing components. The banks always get the money back. If the banks can do it, so can you. So you can live that principle. I think the biggest mistake from being really successful with money is people choose not to be successful. They go after quick fixes. Oh, this might solve my problem, rather than to learn how money works. You have to know what the problem is in order to solve it. Okay. Which is holding on to money. So we call it the 10% rule. You're supposed to pay yourself first, right?
Yes.
You have to assure that you're going to get, better off every month than you were the month before. That's the only way you can do it. Well, people sacrifice that 10% because when they get down through all their money, they got one more bill.
Every time.
And it's exactly the amount that they paid themselves. And so they take that money to pay the bill, and they pass up the best investment opportunity they ever had. If you become a client of your own private economy, I don't want to say that out loud.
Yeah, you got to whisper that one.
A secret. Setting up your own private economy, then you're a client. So the client needs money. You just paid yourself 10%. The whole purpose of paying yourself money is to put it to work and earn a fantastic income, right?
Yes.
So if you want your earnings high, couldn't you finance that bill for him? The whole difference is you're going to get the money back, and you could set up a repayment schedule that will fit your budget and still charge 50% interest. Now you just put, what was it, $1,000, whatever it is, to work, producing an income at a certain amount, totally tax-free inside your own economy. And this is, again, information that they don't want out. You create no taxable events, and you put your money to work instead of putting it to sleep.
I like the way that sounds. Is that the infinite banking strategies we talking about here?
Right. This is what we do. So we try to make this come alive for people. And then we talk about yield. So we don't push product other than the old style banking contract. And it's mainly where to store your money until you can put it to work. Okay, I need to put my money someplace that'll kind of keep pace with inflation, but I have access to it and I can lend it out. So if we could just convince everybody that you finance everything you buy, that our mentors who told us the best way to get through life is to pay cash were wrong.
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely wrong.
Definitely wrong, that we finance everything. So if we're in our 20s or 30s and we go buy $2,000 worth of stuff and the money's gone, we think, well, that only cost us $2,000. It would start at $20,000 and probably be $200,000 that it actually cost us in lost doubling. We show people how to double assets every 2.5 years. It's not hard at all. The people who have your 401k money, that's what they do with it. They double it every 2.5 years. How much do we get? If we're investing?
Not much.
Okay, the banks. Now, banks actually cheat. They factor. So every time a dollar comes in, they get to lend out 10.
Yes.
Okay.
Fractional reserve banking. I'm very much
You've
so.
got all that.
Yeah, I don't like that.
The reason that I think crypto is so popular is that it's supposed to be untainted, a maximum number. The only problem may be, and we're kind of maybe seeing that, is they keep creating more cryptocurrency.
Yes. Yes, that's why you got to stick with Bitcoin, I guess.
Yeah.
At this point.
Bitcoin is the perfect example of success, and I don't know if government can get control of it or not. I hope not.
I hope not either.
So
okay, so a few questions then. Let's talk about it. How do you use the same dollar twice? That's always the big question. Is this
perfect example? And I think this will get people to really understand how we think differently about money. You have a car loan.
Yes.
You owe $10,000 on that loan left. Okay. And your monthly payment's $500 a month. And you had to get a high interest rate. Let's say it was 10% on the interest. Vance Lowe Lending Institution would buy that debt in a heartbeat. Why? What would be the reason most people say I would be interested in buying that debt?
They want to get to the monthly payments themselves. Yeah.
Okay. Actually, you were right. Most people are going to say, well, gosh, you're going to make 10% on that money.
Yeah.
Okay. If it was zero interest, I wouldn't change my enthusiasm. Here's why. I'm going to have to come up with $10,000 to buy that car loan, right?
Yes.
The only thing you're going to notice is that, somebody bought my loan. I got to make the payment to a different address. Okay.
Yeah. Nothing changes for the person paying.
What is interesting to me is the volume rate of return. It's $500 a month, isn't it?
Yes.
5 times 12 is 6,000. 6,000 divided by my money at work, that's a 60% volume rate of return, correct?
Yes.
Is that high enough?
I hope so.
We sound disappointed. Let's make it tax-free. If we went, it isn't a matter of getting the 10 back. It's a matter of getting all the money back on the cars. See, now we're getting the principal back. Those payments represent the dollars coming back in. Okay. So I invested 10, I'm getting $6,000 per year. Now, if I add that up times 5, what is that? 36?
Yeah, about. Yeah.
Okay. That's not the power of banking. That's financial planning. And financial plannings are born and bred by banks to get the money back. Banking comes in as, what do you do with that $6,000? If I put it to work and buy more debt at the same rate of return, because 60% is midstream, that's another $3,600 a month in year 2, along with 6,000. And I do it again. Now I've got 2 36s and 6. Year 3 and year 4. Okay, so I moved from 36 up to $66,000 in 5 years. Now how are we doing?
A lot better than we were doing.
So let's take the 10,000. Let's double it once to 20. Let's double it twice to 40, and we're at 66. So we're doubling money at the rate of at least 2.5 years. How much risk do we have to take?
Doesn't seem like that much.
Especially if it's your own loan, right?
Yes.
Do you trust the guy in the mirror?
You should.
This is how money comes back. Banks don't give away free money. At least I missed that day.
Yeah, maybe in 2020 they did.
Oh yeah, they lend the money out. money is always at an expense, even to ourselves. When we decide it's worthless,
Yep.
and we do this every day, we
Spend
spend it
it.
and it's gone forever. Don't do that. Put it in your bank and then borrow it from your bank. Put it to work. The new income is going to pay that loan off plus interest, and your money, it's the bank that gets the money back. What if you owned that bank?
Yeah. So you got me thinking, is this like I guess, a life insurance product? Because I know you can
The,
borrow from
the
certain
life insurance product is the place where you store your
the money.
money.
Okay.
You don't store it in our banking system because the banks are failing.
Yes.
All money, all accounts in banks, ownership changes to the banks because of the Dodd-Frank Act. You do not own your checking account, your savings accounts, or anything at the banks. You're equity investors in those failing banks. And believe me, they are so close to failing.
Oh,
It's unbelievable.
yes. They're definitely failing. We see it happen every day now, it seems. In the last 8 weeks, 3, 4 major banks worse than the
Right.
2008 crash. So that scares me and a lot of my audience as well. Like, for example, that is why we buy crypto, and we self custody storage, and then there are platforms that let us borrow against it, so we can use the dollar again. But as you know, too, crypto is very volatile, and we don't want volatility on our money.
So we use life insurance policies. You can have access to your money in there if you treat it like a company
Okay.
instead of like, it's not going to be when you start up a company, you're not going to get 100% profit out in year one.
Never.
It takes a little while. As a matter of fact, we discover that business is everything we do in America is related to these contracts in life insurance. Life insurance has the skeleton outline of how to operate. A business is successful usually in year 5. They start taking profits anywhere from 3 to 7.
Okay.
Well, that's what whole life insurance, when it starts to kick in, it's anywhere from 3 to 7. But we can supercharge that. If in our business we start it up and we can have access to 60% in year 2, 75, 85, and then 100%, and then over 100% from then on. In year 5, if I show people a guaranteed investment that you put $1 in, it automatically grows to $1.20. How many of those do we want? Tax free.
Yeah, much as we can.
So it is a product, but only it's a tool. So you have to be skilled in how to use that tool. The second best, and most people, homeowners have this, is access to a home equity line of credit.
The HELOC, yes.
The third is access to credit cards. I can help people go from nothing with a $5,000 monthly income to owning 10 real estate properties free and clear with a $15,000 credit card. That's all they had.
Sign me
10
up.
years. Okay. That's third best. That's not the best thing out there. What we're trying to tell you,
It's
what
better.
if you store your money, you pull it out and put it to work, but it's still earning all the guaranteed interest rates as if it was never out.
So, okay. So my understanding, you set up your infinite bank. It earns yield via insurance, right?
And other fees. Yeah.
And other
All the profits that a bank would get.
Okay, and then if you want to use the money, you can borrow the money from yourself essentially, and then go make that money work somewhere else. But at the same time, that money that you borrowed is still growing. Is that
Right.
what we're saying here?
That's what we're saying here. Life insurance companies, when we're faced with a unknown world of just our whole life fracturing, okay, everything's unsafe. Where's the safe money? So where did the bank owners see? The bank owners have already sold all their stock. They did that several years ago.
Yeah,
Where did they put their money?
into insurance.
In these contracts. 'Cause
Yes, exactly.
they've never lost the strategy. And it's called A tier money level. It doesn't even need to be audited. It's ironclad. It can't be fractured or anything. This is where they store their money. This is their executive, president, vice president, golden handcuff retirement pension programs. They don't give them the policies. They just borrow the money out of these contracts, pay them their bonus at retirement. Now they got a $700,000 hole they can fill back up with more money. And when the guy dies, they're going to pocket $3 to $7 million in death benefit. So life and our banks really are heavily into this strategy.
Yes, yes, because it does make sense. Is there's more protections, because it looks like, it's like, so the FDIC insurance, that's only up to a certain amount. But what you're
Oh,
talking about,
and it's gone, by the way. It's already completely depleted.
yeah, I think they're, yeah, trillions behind, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Before the first bank fell, several weeks ago,
Yes.
they had I think 150 billion dollars. That was it. That's all they
That's,
had in the Federal Reserve against 17 trillion on deposit.
doesn't make any sense.
But that's all the way. It's just always the way has been. It's not safe in a bank.
Okay, okay. Infinite banking strategies. Okay, it does definitely make sense. So how does one set something up like that? Like, a lot of my audience is between the ages of 20 and 45. Let's, a better question. What advice do you have for us that's in 20 to 45 and we do want to build wealth outside of the traditional systems like the 401k?
Get proper education. Probably one of the best sources for pure, unadulterated information is ibcinstitute.org
Let me write that down.
or our website. In our website, what we do
That's
for
the what's the website again? Make
our
sure
the other one,
no, your website. So I'll put that on there later.
privatebankingstrategies.com.
.com. Yep.
If people will download our book, we've got all kinds of podcasts on there on all different topics. We'll set someone up to take it for a test drive free of charge. It's an 8-year analysis. If they'll just load their numbers in so that they can relate to it,
Okay.
we'll show them that side by side. We do not do any growth. We just do math over this 8-year period, month by month. So you can just add it all up and you can see the difference. And you can decide, hey, I'm going to be better off learning the strategy than without going the way I am now. So, that's what we do. If they'll go there, they can go to Nelson Nash, they can find, and they can help be aware of all the pornography IBC stuff out on the web. Most people are selling product. They just say, oh, we can do that. We can do that. Here's the product.
Yes.
Well, are you going to teach me how to do the investment, the banking? And we don't do that. We can't afford to do that. I think the biggest thing right now is that it's called 80-10 or 90-10 splits. In order to build these contracts, it's several different components of single pay,
Yes,
and base. And it's a catch-22. Everybody wants base that is successful to be as high as possible. Well, the people who are in it for the quick fix want the cash value right up front. So they put too much into what they call a paid up additions rider or the term rider or whatever else. So you've got
different riders on the policy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. We actually end those riders after 4 years and take that money if they want to continue to put it into the second one. Remember, we're after a whole bunch in year 5 because we're over 100%, efficient.
So yeah, you're teaching. So what you're teaching at Private Banking Strategy is the real strategy and the education of how to do what you just described.
You've got
not a product, but the real education.
Yeah, you have to fix the money problem. We have people calling us all the time. Well, I've been told about a trust. I've been told about a HELOC. I've been
all of that too.
I've
heard about it.
Those are products. You got to fix the reason that you're trying to, do something. And it all stems back to money. We're letting monies just flow through our hands back to the banks. And they're saying, they're not even thanking us. But they treat us like sheep and cattle. It's called the herd mentality.
Yeah.
And the sad news, see, I'm supposed to be retired over 20 years ago, but I work 3 days a week because I have a passion for this. The clients always win. Okay. But they've got to know how money works. They've got to learn how it is that money grows, and it isn't from interest rates. My heart sinks when people refinance because they think they're getting a lower interest rate and they don't.
Yeah.
Only in America can we get away with these fraudulent contracts.
Oh yes, yes. I've been to like UAE and Dubai. You can't do that type of stuff over there.
You can't do that because a 3% mortgage, if it's only 3% on payment 360,
Hmm.
and every one is higher than that, starting at 97%, how can you call that a 3% loan? You can't. Okay.
No.
And people switch on the average every 5 years thinking they're getting a better rate, and they go right back up into the 90% interest rates.
Mm.
And half of them don't believe it when you tell them. Well, look at your amortization schedule for crying out loud. What did this month's payment? How much was interest and how much was principal?
Most of it seems to go to interest.
It's all interest. And then when
Yes.
you refinance, they do not repay the unearned interest on those loans. They keep it.
Yep.
That's a crime in and of itself.
Yeah, because they're
So,
giving you just essentially a brand new loan to start
yeah.
over, as you said.
So people, if they're stuck with a 6% or even 8% or even 12%, still don't refinance. All of our clients have bought their mortgages within 5 years and they didn't change anything. They just changed who got the money. This is called getting the money back over and over again. It
Yes.
doesn't take very long at all. You're owning your debt. Now, I didn't say pay off. To the
Yes.
outside world, it's paid off, but they bought the debt. Now they have that mortgage payment coming in because the guy in the mirror, he just got notice that, oh, your payment address has changed.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
it. Yeah.
So, and that's all tax free. So
Oh, okay.
outflow of $1,000 to inflow of 1,000, that's a $2,000 swing from minus to positive. Okay.
Yes.
If we concentrate on that at the end of the day, who gets the money? That's the game.
Mm.
That's the
Mm.
secret.
I like that. Okay. This is, what, we got to start to slowly close out. I know the audience there going to be like, oh, a lot of questions. So we're going to have to do this again for sure.
I'd be more than happy to.
We're going to have to, because I still have a list of things I need to get to, but we'll have to save it.
I appreciate that.
Yes. So is there anything else you would like to say before we close out, like any jewels, or also, and give your information again where they can find you if someone wants to work with you?
Yeah. Privatebankingstrategies.com is the place to go to find out a little bit about us and set up to take it for a test drive for yourself.
Okay.
But the whole thing isn't, we're not going to sell anything. If a person is educated and they start asking the right questions, we can proceed. But you're given a lot of homework to do. You've got to discover this stuff on your own. But what would it be like to get out of this dark tunnel? And every step you're taking, there's more and more real truth and real light. Oh, I don't have to rework for this money. Live the 3 laws: 10%, never spend principal, and work from a well-defined financial plan. And we've chosen, the majority of us, even listening on here, have chosen not to do those 3 things. You can't succeed without them, period.
I agree.
And you can't fail if you put them into your life, and they're always updated.
Oh, I love it.
All
I
right.
have my horn. Where's my horn at? I need to sound the horn right now. Well, thank you, Vance. Just stay behind the scene. We'll talk a little bit more. I'm gonna give an outro and tell them folks to follow you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very, very much.
For sure. Hey, y'all. So another powerful episode with Vance of Private Banking Strategies. What we're talking about is the education and the information so you can then make your correct financial decisions and planning. So make sure you go to the website, privatebankingstrategies.com. I'll put all the links into the description. We're going to have Vance back on very soon so we can continue this great conversation. Thank you guys all for tapping in. See Will with the Passive Income Network. I am Go.